Hey friends, it's Tess. This is Wonder Wealthy, and today I am sharing with you the 7 money mistakes to avoid in your 20s. Whether you're just coming out of college and into your career, or you've been in your career for a couple of years now and you're trying to better your financial situation, these are 7 very common mistakes that we all tend to make in our 20s. And I want to educate you so that you don't have to make these mistakes like most of the people out there. Mistakes ranging from mindset to savings, debt to investments. It's not a conclusive list, but it's definitely a list of the top ones that you might want to know. Before I dive on in, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're new here and the little bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos, which I do on a weekly basis, all about personal finance, travel, and personal development. And if you like these kinds of videos with listed mistakes or money tips, things that help you with your financial future, then make sure you go ahead and hit that like button so I know to make more. All right, let's dive in. Money mistake number 1 is so common, yet it happens and we don't even realize it's happening to us. And that's to let social media or our peers determine what we want and what we spend our money on. This takes a lot of work. Kind of a lot of personal development work, if you will, because you need to recognize when you are irrationally convincing yourself that you need all these things that you see other people have. Social media can be used for so many good things, but sometimes it can create a little bit of depression or a scarcity mindset or just the feeling that we aren't enough because we don't have or we don't look like or we're not achieving the things that other people out there are achieving. One thing to remember is that social media is everyone's highlight reel as opposed to what's actually happening behind the scenes. So as you spend your time, many hours, as most of us do on social media, make sure to check yourself when you find yourself wanting to indulge in these things that other people have. Really make sure that it's something you actually want, because that makes you happy as opposed to making you just feel like you can measure up to the rest. I know it's hard to do, but I promise you it will change your outlook on the way that you feel about yourself and the way you approach many situations in your day-to-day life. This is a money mistake because it can have us way overspending beyond our means, beyond our budget, and just beyond what we actually prioritize and value in our lives. Money mistake number 2 is getting the savings equation all wrong, which most of us do. A lot of us think in order to save money, we need to have our income, take out our expenses, and then whatever is left over is what we'll save. Unfortunately, that's never how it works because most of us end up having 0 left over or a negative number because we put things on the credit card. Instead, view your savings tactic as you have your income, you stash some of that away in a savings account or an investment account or even saving into your retirement. Maybe you have an employer-sponsored 401k plan, and then what is left over is what you are allowed to spend. This will prioritize your savings early on so that you can't spend that money. If you put it away in a separate bank account, I'll link my favorite one below, then it's out of sight, out of mind. Also, don't forget that debt payoff and paying extra money towards your debt is totally a saving strategy, and you definitely need to prioritize that too. Especially if you're in your 20s, you probably have some form of debt, most likely student loan debt, and we need to try to get that to 0 so that we can move on past that point in our life and start accumulating wealth or maybe financing some things that actually do bring value, like a business or potentially a home if that's right for you. Money mistake number 3 is looking at your credit card limit as free money. It happens to the best of us. Once we turn 18 and step our foot on our college or university campus, there's probably going to be someone trying to sell you a credit card, whether it's physically there, which I'm not even sure if that's legal anymore, or on the internet or in the mail or somewhere you're going to be presented with opportunities to sign yourself up for a credit card, which comes with a credit card limit. It might be $500, it might be $1,000, it might be $5,000. And what most people do is they see that as an opportunity to spend that much money because they've never seen that much money in their own bank account. Well, unfortunately, when they spend that money, they also have to pay it back. And if you don't pay it back on time and in full, you're going to be charged with interest. So not only are you buying $500 worth of goods with money that you don't have, now it's going to be $500 plus an extra 10, 20, 50, $500 as long as you don't pay it back because of that interest that gets added on. This is what gets us into that debt downhill spiral, and we want to avoid it as much as possible. If you don't have that money in the bank, then you cannot spend it on your credit card. Think of it that way and you'll be just fine. Money mistake number 4 is being a credit ghost. Now, unfortunately, again, a lot of things in finance and life are unfortunate. Being a financial grown-up might mean that you need some sort of credit. And yes, credit does mean debt. So a lot of people think, why do I have to have debt in order to have a credit score so that I can do adult things? Banks, other financial institutions, and even your landlord just wants to make sure that you are responsible with money. And the best way for them to know that is by seeing your credit score and your credit report. And in order to not be a credit ghost, you have to have some sort of credit history. This is something that I wildly failed at because I was so afraid of debt when I was in college and graduating from college, which meant I was very afraid of credit cards because when I thought of credit cards, I thought of debt. So when I wanted to get an apartment after college or buy a home eventually, I really needed to make sure that I had some sort of credit history because there was one time when I applied for a credit card and got denied because I didn't have a credit history. There is, however, a way that you can do this without going into debt. One way to do this is to get a credit card, put a small expense on it, and then automatically pay that off from your bank account. You can set automatic transfers up and pay that off on time and in full every single month. That way, you'll never carry a balance and then it won't accumulate interest, and therefore you'll never technically have debt. You'll just be using a credit card the way that they're supposed to be used. With that, you'll build yourself up a credit history, and then you'll be able to do some adult things in the future, like get an apartment because landlords do sometimes check your credit report, or buy a home or potentially finance a used car. Which leads me into money mistake number 5, which is financing a new car without realizing how much it will depreciate in value immediately. I've talked about this plenty of times before, but financing a new car is one of the least savvy financial investments or financial decisions that you could potentially make. Reason being are that cars are one of the few assets we can actually finance that depreciate in value. So you're going to get a loan for one set of numbers in order to buy that car, and immediately when you drive it off the lot, your car is going to be worth significantly less, but you still have to pay that full dollar amount that you got the loan for at full price. If something bad happens, you might lose your job or you have a different financial emergency, you might have to sell that car and you'll be selling it at a loss while still making up for that car loan that you signed off on. Money mistake number 6 is that you might think you're the next Warren Buffett, so you take all of these hot tips and your money and invest it in all these individual companies that you think are going to do well. As most of you know, I am a huge proponent for passive investing strategies. So is Warren Buffett, by the way. And so although it might be fun to take some money and invest in individual companies, when you're managing your wealth and money that you really can't bear to lose, then I would stay away from the hot stock tips from the guy from accounting at the water cooler and really focus on your own passive investing strategy that's so much set it and forget it, you hardly even notice what's going on day to day or month to month, and you're really tuned in to just making sure you're invested for the long term. And that leads me to money mistake number 7, which is when you're in your 20s, you're so excited about investing, assuming you've gotten to that point in your financial life that you check up on your investments every single day. And this is a big mistake because humans, us people, we are irrational beings. And the stock market, well, it likes to go up and then go down, and then go up and then go down. And when we see that, we get very anxious and scared, and we want to take our money out of it. And we tend to do it at the complete wrong time. We all know you need to sell high and buy low, but we tend to completely forget that when we see a significant portion of our wealth decrease in value in just one day. Coming off of the last money mistake, talking all about passive investments and long-term investing, this is something that you really need to make sure you're honed in on. When you are investing for the long long term, you have to keep calm and carry on. And that wraps up the 7 money mistakes that you should definitely avoid making in your 20s. Now, I know the last couple were about investing, and that can be a little bit confusing. If you want to understand investing a little bit more, then you should definitely join the Wealthy Wanderers private Facebook community. Go to wanderwealthy.com/FB. Why? Because we are smack dab in the middle of the Investing 101 series, and I am going into huge detail on what you need to know about passive investing and investing for your future, which is what I'm assuming most people who watch my videos are trying to do. Not necessarily trying to pick penny stocks and just win in the short term, but invest for the long term and build wealth over their lifetime. If that sounds like you, then definitely join the Facebook community. Also, because we are a community of women supporting each other on our goals towards personal finance, travel, and personal development. And if you have a goal like that, then you're definitely more than welcome to come join us today. If you liked this video, make sure you hit those thumbs up buttons so that I know to make more just like this, and leave a comment below. What is one of your big money mistakes? I would love to hear and potentially feature you in an upcoming video. One last reminder to subscribe to my channel, because I want you to hear from me when I upload new videos on a weekly basis. And until I see you next time, I hope you wander wealthy.